What's going on, everybody? Happy bye week. Before I get into this, I did want to say that the reason I haven't been posting videos is because my subscription to Adobe just went up because I'm no longer technically a student. We're at UCF, so they jacked it up to like $60 a month. So that's what I use for all my recording. So if anybody knows any cheap, any cheap thing for recording, editing, all that stuff involving video making, definitely let me know, because I'm trying to figure that out right now. So yeah, the Jaguars are on a bye week right now. We're 3-7, and I don't know how I feel right now. I went into the season saying that the minimum amount of wins acceptable for me is 7-10. Anything below that is a failure. In order to reach that, Jags need to go 4-3 down the stretch. The Vegas over/under before the season was 6.5 wins. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not super thrilled with the way this season is going. Like I said, 7-10. And I don't think that's asking a lot, especially we began the rebuild in 2020. I know we got set back because of the head coaching thing and also just a terrible 2020 draft class that Dave Caldwell left us with. So with me right now, I think that we should be better than what we are. And I do agree with people, I think we're better than what our record says. But at the same time, you still have to figure out how to win games. I've heard so many times in the past that the Jaguars are better than what their record is, this, and that. But the consistent thing about the Jaguars, out of everything, the most consistent thing about the Jaguars is that we are masters at losing. We know how to lose unlike any other franchise in the NFL. And I hate to be negative, but that's what it is. And, I'll be honest, if we were losing games because maybe wide receivers weren't getting a lot of separation, that's almost fine to me, because look, we know that, we went into the year and we knew that, hey, maybe next year we're going to have to get a true wide receiver one, which the Jaguars have done. They got Calvin Ridley. He's coming in next year. And the Jaguars were losing the games because they were targeting cornerbacks not named Tyson Campbell. That's fine. We knew going into the season we're probably going to have to upgrade at that other cornerback spot. But the thing that is most frustrating is that the Jaguars, one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, outside of some inconsistencies from Trevor Lawrence, has been that the Jaguars have a non-existent pass rush. It is so infuriating to me, because that is a piece that we thought we got fixed. And I'm at the point where it's I'm looking at mock drafts, and the Jaguars have us in, right now the Jaguars are selecting 5th, and mock drafts have us taking the defensive tackle from Georgia, Jalen Carter. And look, I don't know anything about this guy or any draft prospects. I'm just, and I hear he's an incredible player, but the thing is, I don't care about that right now. The thing is, the Jaguars have over the years poured so many resources into the defensive line. If we go back, 2015, the Jaguars drafted Dante Fowler Jr. at pick number 3 overall. The first non-quarterback taken was Dante Fowler Jr. In 2018, they draft Taven Bryan in the first round. 2019, we draft Josh Allen. 2020, we draft Caleb Chason. 2022, at number 1 overall, we drafted Trayvon Walker. We are also paying Roy Robertson Harris $9 million, Fatu Kasi $6 million, Arden Key $4 million, Smoot $6.7 million. And what do the Jaguars have to show for that right now? What do we have to show for that? It feels like nothing. It feels like we have a Dewan Smoot kind of overplaying his little contract. And outside of that, what is there? And okay, it's all fine and dandy that, hey, we're going to get this defensive tackle from Alabama, but how is it going to be any different than any other first-round pick we've invested in this defensive line? It's just, on paper, this should have been right now Josh Allen. We stopped making excuses for him. He had a great rookie year. Last couple of years, just banged up, only guy people were, teams were looking at on the defensive line. We bring in Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker's underperforming. We have Josh Allen underperforming. We're at the point where it's on paper, this defensive line should be built. On paper, this defensive line should be built, and now we have to go look at more resources for it. And when you look at this whole thing on paper, I keep saying on paper because that's what we're looking at last offseason where really there were more questions than answers. We were projecting a lot of stuff. And, one thing we were projecting was that the defensive line would be a lot better. But now it almost feels like we're in a really bad situation because, this guy that we were all willing to pay on Josh Allen is severely underperforming. No idea what's going on there. And Trayvon Walker started off hot, then he slowed down. And it just seems like this is a trait with the Jaguars. Like in the Jaguars organization, it feels like we always have guys come in and they're good. And then they start to regress as the season goes on. Or, players have great rookie years and then they go away from that. We've seen that with guys like Jawan Taylor, Josh Allen. And I don't know if it's a lot of it's like coaching, but look, if you have players that are getting worse over their careers or over the years, that's never a good sign. It's never a good sign. And like right now, it's, this defensive line kind of has me really, really worried for our future. I'll be honest, because look, the Jaguars the last few days or last few years, they haven't been able to get or not last few years, just the last few games. Because look, when the Jaguars were winning, when the Jaguars were 2-1, we were getting pressure on the quarterback, and then now it's like escape. That Denver game, pathetic. The Chiefs game, Patrick Mahomes was sitting back there all day. He looked so comfortable. It looked like Patrick Mahomes was playing against a JV defense. I know he's sitting back there, all the protection in the world. If guys were covered, hey, I'm just going to run it for a first down. The third downs were pathetic. I think the Jaguars, I think there was something like 12 or 15 on third down with the Chiefs. Pathetic. And, when I look at this whole thing, next offseason should have been the year that we go in on offense, especially in the draft. When you look at the last couple of drafts, the Jaguars have gone defense heavy, and now, it's time to show some love to the offense, whether it be bringing in a tight end or more offensive line help, maybe even another receiver. It should have been the time to go in on the offense, but it's looking like we're going to go back and keep fixing the defense. It's just, so frustrating. And, we're having players, like I said, we're having players regress. Trayvon Walker, I feel like, has regressed. Josh Allen has definitely regressed. How about Devin Lloyd? Devin Lloyd went from being like AFC Rookie of the Month or NFL Rookie of the Month, whatever, in September, to now he's getting benched for Chad Muma. And it's frustrating because teams win because they have good pass rush. Teams win because, I was watching the other day, Nick Bosa, huge third down stop. They needed a third down stop, and Nick Bosa went in there and got a sack, and he has 9.5 sacks on the year. The Jaguars don't have that disruptor. When the Jaguars need a play the most on third down, we just don't make it. It's sad, and I don't mean to be negative right now, but I need to be honest where, I'm not happy right now at the bye week, and I think that we should just be better. I mean, asking for 7-10 really is not a lot. So now some more things to get into. If I made this video 2 weeks ago, I think my tone on Trevor Lawrence would have been a lot different. But the last couple of games, he has balled out. So far this year, he has 2,334 passing yards, 13 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and a 65.2% completion percentage. Last 2 games, he's balled out. He's done really well, and I'm really encouraged by Trevor Lawrence. And, I think the big thing for him is just to keep playing consistently, have less of the games like, against like the Eagles, Texans, Broncos. Look, young quarterback, he's going to have his lows for sure. Every quarterback does. Hopefully he just starts to grow out of that, pretty soon. But he's also had some great highs. And, for the first time in my life as a Jaguar fan, I really feel like I'm watching the future of the Jaguars at quarterback. And, so many times we're stuck in this no man's land where we've had just crap quarterback play with like Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, Cody Kessler, all just terrible quarterback play. Now we actually have, Trevor Lawrence, a guy that has all the tools, who has the right demeanor. It feels nice to see a guy that can make all the throws and, is out there leading this offense. So he should only get better, and the offense should only get better next year as well. Now, and it does feel like wide receivers are getting the job done. We need some help at tight end. No tight ends on the, next year under contract, so that'll be interesting. But I think, like I said, right now, when we're at the bye week, because let's be real, we're in a bye week. We're 3-7, right? We're 3-7. We're 3-7. So look, playoffs are out of the question. We are now in evaluation mode, and we're now in a mode where, we have to figure out what we have next offseason. And, I think my biggest issue with the Jaguars, maybe outside the pass rush, is that we can't definitively say that any unit on this team is good. Everything going into this offseason is all going to be about projecting. And that's what really troubles me. Every single unit is projecting. We can go through it right now. Quarterback, we think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good. Of course, he hasn't proved he's elite yet. We just got to hope that he continues to have stack the good games and minimizes the bad games. I'm not saying he can't have a bad game. I mean, every quarterback has bad games. It's just you need less of the crap games, which I'm hoping comes. But once again, that's a projection. Running back, I love Travis Etienne, but outside Travis Etienne, the Jaguars don't have a lot. Wide receiver, we're adding to the wide receiver room, but how much impact will a 28-year-old Calvin Ridley have? Is he going to be the same Calvin Ridley that he was for the Falcons? We'll see. Tight end, like I said, our three main tight ends with Evan Ingram, Dan Arnold, Chris Manhertz, all of them are set to be free agents next year. So, as of right now, the season ended and they did nothing in free agency. The only tight end we'd have on the roster is Luke Farrell. So that is 100% a question mark. How about the offensive line? What happens there? I think the offensive line is solid right now. Could be better, but you have Jawan Taylor coming up for a contract. What are you going to do with that contract? Are you going to, is it going to be too rich for you? Are you going to, play Walker Little, see what he has? I mean, you drafted Walker Little in the second round. I mean, you invested a good draft capital into him. So, that's one to, look out for. How about the defense? I mean, defensive line, we talked about that. Linebackers, I thought they started strong, but what's Devin Lloyd going to become? Secondary, what are we going to do about that other cornerback spot? You only have so many draft picks. Are we going to, how are we going to address that spot? There's a lot of questions. And most specifically, also Mike Caldwell. He started off hot the first 3 weeks. And then now I think teams are figuring out his defense, and he's not able to adjust very well. And look, we had to treat Mike Caldwell the same way we treat Trayvon Walker. They're both rookies. You know what I mean? This is his first time, coaching up a defense, and this is his defense. But, this offseason he's got a lot of work this offseason to make sure this defense is good. Because let's be real, last game, a large reason for the defense playing bad was because of Mike Caldwell. It wasn't like it wasn't like during the Colts game where they're just targeting Shaquille Griffin. This game, there were so many lapses in coverage when it comes to the zone coverage, and that's by a lot of players. It's different if one player is underperforming, but if everybody on the defense is confused, that's straight up to the coaching. And I'm okay with that. Look, if our biggest issue is that there's a game where the zone coverage gets all mixed up, I'm okay with that because I think coaching is very, very fixable. I think it's very adjustable. The thing that's not adjustable is that Trey Herndon is super slow, or that Josh Allen isn't, or I shouldn't say Josh Allen, but how about Trayvon Walker doesn't have any pass rushing moves? I mean, that needs to be, actually, that can be fixed, whatever. That can't be fixed during the season, but it can definitely be fixed in the off season. But there's certain things, like if you have a really bad quarterback, you're not just going to, after one off season, that quarterback becomes a superstar. So I think the coaching is fixable. Mike Caldwell definitely deserves time, but I do think that he probably needs to bring in some kind of defensive analyst, somebody that runs a similar defense to him that just kind of helps him out when it comes to drawing stuff out, because it's tough being a first year defense coordinator with all these new pieces. So a lot of stuff going on with the Jaguars. And on top of that, how about this? We don't have a kicker. I don't know. Are you guys sharing the same frustration as me? I'd like to sit here and say everything is sunshines and rainbows. But next year should be a year where we're competing for the division, where we hopefully overtake the AFC South. And right now, the Titans don't know how to lose games. You know, you have the Colts and Texans who look like they're going into rebuild mode, or Texans are already in rebuild mode. Colts are trending toward that, but are the Titans going to become the, you know, New England Patriots, where every year they just win with not super superb talent? They get injured and it doesn't matter, they still win. I don't know. I'm nervous right now about the direction of the Jaguars and all that stuff. So I don't know. Let me know. I guess the overwhelming thing is that it feels like we have a quarterback, so that'll be great. I do really like Doug Peterson, even though he makes some questionable decisions. I just hope the culture is right in the locker room where players want to stay here and play here. I don't know. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are. It's the bye week. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. You know, Sunday, whether you want to relax with and watch some like Red Zone, or maybe you can go out with the family and do something. I hope you guys all have like a good time. So, and yeah, let me know if you have any software recommendations. Let me know down below. Thanks guys for watching. Go Jags.